So, yeah, I know some of you have been watching some of my videos, and I can't remember which video it was, but I said that I didn't want any spoilers because I was going to be watching Black Butler, Book of Murder. Well, I put it off way too long. I think I put it off about maybe 2 years, I think. I don't remember exactly when it came out, and I certainly don't remember when I got it, but I finally sat down as of yesterday and I watched it. And it was only 2 hours, and I've got to say it was hilarious for one. Excuse me. And two, it was a lot that I wasn't really expecting. You know, this is another OVA. Book of Murder follows right after Book of Circus, obviously. The concept, though, I don't really want to spoil a lot that goes on in this film, but there's so much to talk about that I feel that spoilers are going to happen. So if you haven't watched this, you might not want to watch this video. This one's going to be more or less of a mix between me discussing about the film, but also going to throw in some theories on what's been going on. So I guess I am going to say hashtag, there are going to be spoilers in this video. So that's your warning right now. So let's jump in with Book of Murder. Book of Murder is basically the Queen is questioning Ciel's loyalty and his incredibility, because if you remember in Book of Circus, Ciel ordered Sebastian to burn everything down to the ground, even children that were still in the facility. And Sebastian, of course, did it. He did it without hesitation, and of course, Ciel probably put a false report, and everything went through. And I'm just going to throw this out right now. I'm using old footage for a lot of reasons. One, I don't want anyone to see what goes on in Book of Murder. This is something that you guys have to see for yourself. It is really good. Obviously, there's some characters that don't show up, and we'll be getting to that in a minute. But let's get back to the main story. So basically, it's kind of like that old school whodunit, you know, like, kind of like Clue, you know, who killed who in a way. That's a throwback to an interesting show, you know, who killed who. But, and I'm sorry for the noise that's going on in the background. Just try to ignore that. But it's that old school of murder mystery, and I'm not gonna say who, but let's just say one of our main characters gets killed. And when this person got killed, I did not shed any tears. I was not crying because I knew that this had to have been a lie. There's no way they could have took out this, quote, character. But it starts off, you know, as always, there's a dinner party going on, and Ciel has invited a bunch of people. However, he invites one person who is not of a nobility. He's just your average day person, but he wrote a story, and Ciel had read it, and he liked it, and he wanted to meet the person that had wrote it. And obviously, when you watch this, you can tell that this guy is extremely uncomfortable being in this, you know, in this kind of high-class setting, which I don't blame him. I'd be very uncomfortable myself. Excuse me, I'm a little tired, but I said that I was going to do this review. So, what winds up happening, and we do meet, oh God, I think his name is Lau. You know, the one that you know, he doesn't open his eyes and he's usually kind of creepy. Lau. Yeah! You know that girl that he's always with? You know, the one that doesn't talk much, and she's always wearing like tight and little clothes, and she's always showing off her body. Yeah, apparently that's his sister. I had no idea that was his sister. I was so shocked to find that out. I had to pause and go back and say, did I hear him right? Did he? Because through season 1, season 2, they never said that that was his sister, and it was so bizarre to hear and to see that. Excuse me. So anyway, what winds up happening, there are 3 victims in this story. And what makes it fascinating is it's kind of the first time where Ciel was kind of being open to another person. There's a scene where Ciel has to give up his bedroom, mind you, to one of his guests, and he has to sleep in another room. And Ciel gets handcuffed to another person because of reasons. As I said, I don't want to spoil too much of what goes on into this film, because it really is really good. The animation is really good. The music's really good as well, as it always has been. But the one thing that I want to make clear on this is, as these people are dying or being killed, the Reapers never showed up. It was so bizarre. William didn't show up. Growl never showed up. And it was really, I found it kind of bizarre, because normally when someone dies, one of the Reapers are there, whether it be William or Growl or one of the other guys, they're always there. But in this particular episode, they weren't there. I don't know why. I don't know why they weren't there, and I will try to figure out why they weren't there. We might get an episode. There's one more that I have to watch and buy, and I might be mispronunciating the name, but I think it's Black Butler Book of Atlanta, I want to say. I'm probably wrong. I'm dyslexic. I can't read too well. But basically, what winds up happening is that Ciel and Sebastian basically set this whole thing up. They planned everything just to frame one person. They had an idea that this other Queen's watchdog guy, who, mind you, they introduced these 2 new characters, and I love it when they introduce 2 new characters, but the way that they introduced these 2, I felt could have been done a little better. And I say that because if you watch how they introduce these characters, it's real quick. Like, it's like, okay, where the hell did these guys come from? And, of course, before... I'm going to let this video actually run a bit longer. I'm going to make this a little longer. I have some theories on this. So this is where some of the spoilers are going to come in. First of all, remember how Book of Circus ended. Ciel and Sebastian found the hideout of where they were taking these kids, and Ciel saw these kids. They all had lobotomies done to them. They were zoned out. They didn't know where they were. It looked like they weren't even alive. And Ciel basically had the building destroyed and burnt to the ground. Now, remember at the beginning of that episode in Book of Circus, the Queen wanted Ciel to find these children and bring them back home. He didn't do that. Now, obviously, Ciel made a false report to the Queen. Now, the Queen, obviously, she is questioning his nobility. So they set this thing up. Now, my theory at this point is where this is setting in our timeline. Because I had theorized before before I even watched Book of Murder, that it would have gone season 1 of Black Butler, then Book of Circus, and then Book of Murder. I'm starting to think that may not be the case because simply that we're missing a couple of characters for that timeline to be correct. The second theory is that Ciel basically, as I said before, he framed somebody who we thought was innocent, but Ciel has said, no, this person's not innocent because, you know, he killed somebody else that was in the same business industry, which, of course, he didn't find out by himself. He had help from the Undertaker, which I was kind of upset. We only get to see the Undertaker one time, and it's not even that long. I'm like, dude, he's like one of the best characters. Besides the other Reapers, he's one of the best characters. But also what made this very interesting towards the end, Sebastian really didn't reveal his true form to the guy, but he made it very clear that he was not human. And even Ciel asked him if he thought that was wise to do, and Sebastian basically told him, well, you did say that you liked his book, so I thought I would do this so that he would write more, which he did, but this is what makes that scene complicated. We then see this young man, no longer a young man, he's older, and he's got a kid of his own, or maybe it's his niece or whatever. But then we go back and Ciel and Sebastian right back where we left them. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is either him as an adult, this young man, or this is someone completely different. It's very hard to tell. I don't really know, but all in all, I would like to say that Book of Murder was extremely well done. You know, it had just the appropriate moments. There were some funny scenes when it needed to be funny, and then there were very serious scenes when it needed to be very serious. So, again, it plays on that role so well of knowing exactly where it's going and what it's doing. I'm kind of excited to see where the final one's going to go. If any of you guys know if there's any other series or seasons of Black Butler after the Atlantic one, if I'm pronouncing that right, let me know. I would really like to find out what else is going on. But if it ends there, that's fine too. As much as I love Black Butler, I would really hate for it to be one of those ongoing series where it's not going to stop. It's just going and going and going. Because then it does kind of start losing its finesse in a bit. It starts losing things. But it was definitely something a bit different. And I think in a way it's also one of those films where you don't really necessarily need to have seen Book of Murder. You might have, but it's enjoyable. As I said, it's only 2 hours long. They only have, you know, episode 1 and 2, and that's about it. I didn't check out the extras on the DVD. I don't know if there's any good extras. But I will say, it is one that you guys do need to check out. It is pretty interesting. I really don't know what more I can say. I am kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see Growl again. We didn't get to see William, because I really would have loved to have seen William at least one more time during all this. But the one thing in this film it does do, and it is kind of funny because I do love it when they do this, towards the end when Sebastian and Ciel are telling their stories, it starts rewinding on its own. Like, it does that old school rewind so you can see what was going on Sebastian's side and all this and that. But Anyway, guys, I did a long one for you this time, and it's late, and I'm tired. I'm gonna try and edit this as quickly as I can, so it'll be out by tomorrow. But as always, this is M. Chihaya Moondragon, and as always, I will see you in the next anime. Bye-bye!